Okay, what we have here is a piston and a rod out of a DT466E. First thing we're going to do is we're going to verify orientation. On this piston right here, the piston numbers, which are located on the top of the piston, are aiming toward the camshaft. So we verify orientation. Second step, what we do is remove the locking ring, like so, making sure that everything stays in place. Then we rotate it over. Most of the time, you can just remove the wrist pin with your hand. We remove the wrist pin, wipe it down, look for anything, scarring or anything like that. There's none noted on this one. However, we will discard it because we'll be using a new wrist pin. Then what we do is we remove the rod, we verify the bushing, and we do a once over on the rod to make sure everything looks fine. So with that done, set the old piston top out of the way. That'll have to be returned for a core. And we bring the new piston over. Notice we have not put the rings on it yet. Notice I'm going to make sure, here's the numbers for the piston. They're going to be aimed toward the camshaft. So it'll be orientated like such. First thing I'm going to do is discard the old retaining clip. Get the two new retaining clips and a new wrist pin. First thing I want to do is take a retaining clip and insert it into the piston. Now, once we insert the retaining clip into the piston, we want to verify that it's straight up and down, not side to side, because of the shock that it'll receive. So once we verify it's in, then we take the rod, again, verifying the orientation, like such. Take the wrist pin, slide it in. Never hit it, never force it. It should just go in on its own. Once you get it lined up, slide right in. Once it's in, make sure it's seated all the way against this retaining clip, all the way down. Then you take the next retaining clip, like such. Take your pliers, collapse the retaining clip just enough to get it inside where it needs to go. Got a little groove that it sets in. You got to make sure that it's in that groove and locked all the way and all the way around. Most times like that right there, you'll hear it click, click, Make sure it's orientated right. Test it. Should not be binding anywhere. Everything I've done is dry, no oil added. Again, here's the piston numbers. They'll go toward the camshaft, which is on the passenger side. The big side, or we call it the tang, is where the bearing sets in. The tang is toward the driver's side. In this case, we call it tang away from the camshaft. And that's how you put a piston top on a rod. The last thing we'll do is put the rings on. We'll do that right before we get ready to drop them in. Liners have already been installed in the truck, so I'll continue on and put all the piston tops on. As you notice on the table, I've laid out the rings for each piston, right? Also on the table, I've got it marked for each cylinder, making sure that the rod goes back to the same place that it came out of in the engine. So we got the top groove, the middle groove, second groove, and the bottom groove. Rings, right? 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, so forth. And when we get ready to drop these in the engine, we'll start from 6 and work our way forward. That concludes my orientation.